It appears someone is stealing art tutorials from TikTok and trying to make money off them, posting them on a spanking brand new art account. These art tutorials have been considered controversial by the art community on TikTok because of their quote-unquote controversial subject matter. And just for context, so we're on the same page, here's one of the tutorials I like a lot and I find pretty funny, but other people on TikTok think otherwise.
Remember that mouth can also function as a vacuum? So when slurping a corn dog, not only the corn dog gets sucked inside, but also part of the lip skin. And that can create some sucking wrinkles, especially on the lower lip. And that's it.
These rather funny art tutorials, which I and a number of fellow experienced fine art enthusiasts consider as peak content, have so far so good clearly stayed within the fine lines of algorithm approved content, breaking no terms of service while also helping a vast majority of webtoon artists and illustrators improve their comics and art in general. And unironically, someone somewhere in this world wide web of internet entrepreneurship thought it would be a lucrative venture to steal these art tutorials and repost them on a different platform so they could profit off them and make money. And if you're wondering how that's even possible in the first place, since things like copyrights kinda exist but aren't really taken seriously except on platforms like YouTube for the most part, well, here's why. You see, buboosenchan, who is the artist this person stole from, has been posting these tutorials for over a year on her various social media platforms. buboosenchan has grown a massive fan base and a warm, welcoming art community with over 700,000 followers on TikTok, 470,000 followers on Instagram, over 100,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel, which by the way I consider you should go subscribe to her if you haven't already, and 94,000 followers on Twitter. And across each of these social media platforms, buboosenchan's drawings and art tutorials receive millions and millions of views and a ton of comments under her videos. But there was a little problem. You see, buboosenchan was posting on every social media platform aside from two, Facebook and Snapchat, which for the most part are presumed as dead platforms by literally almost everyone on the internet. But right under our noses, people have been making thousands of dollars posting their content on these platforms. And that is where our scam art thief decided to use as his base of operations, creating a fake page and reposting art tutorials from buboosenchan and indirectly impersonating her. Well, that's kinda directly, since they're like taking her videos from one platform and then pretending to be her on another platform. Wait, why am I even explaining? You get the point. The person who is stealing art from buboosenchan and posting them on Facebook has been repurposing her videos under a fake account called marikaboniuk, because obviously they can't just use the name buboosenchan, since that will automatically get them called out and cancelled. Their page already has over 20,000 followers and has been getting quite a decent amount of engagement on the page, with almost 1,000 shares and over 6,000 likes on one video they stole from Buboo and reposted without even adding anything impactful to the video to transform it. Not like doing that makes it okay. And they just posted it as is, straight from buboosenchan's TikTok, with her actual voice still playing in the background of the video.
Remember that the hairline is not made of straight lines. Instead, draw curvy lines following the natural shape of the neck and the ears. I also recommend you to separate the head into sections. Remember that the hair shortens as it goes down in the head.
This video had over 170,000 views and almost 7,000 likes, and people in the comments were all responding thinking it was posted by Buboo without realizing this was an entirely fake account. If you scroll through the other videos on the page, you can see they've been posting many of her videos for over a long period of time, and it seems they have been also posting videos from other artists as well. Some of the videos posted clearly looked different from buboosenchan's regular art style and were a little more detailed and had fewer funny innuendos than usual, like this drawing of Wednesday from the Addams Family. I'm assuming this is an entirely different artist this person is stealing from, and the original artist probably has no idea what is even happening. So I did some digging and spoke to buboosenchan, and apparently buboosenchan herself found out that this person was stealing her videos and reposting them, and was also impersonating another artist entirely. You see, marikaboniuk is a real person and an amazing artist with over 400,000 followers on Instagram, where they have been sharing their wonderful art for the longest time ever. On the profile links page on Instagram, it shows that their only other social media accounts aside from Instagram is TikTok and YouTube, which is why they probably had no idea someone was stealing their art and reposting it on Facebook and pretending to be them, which is such a really stupid thing and shows a big lapse in Facebook's authentication process. How is it possible for someone to just steal the entire identity of another person and create a whole new functioning profile on their platform without them finding out? Literally anyone can easily download a drawing or video from an artist's online portfolio and re-upload it onto a fake profile claiming it as their own. And apparently, since Facebook doesn't require users to verify ownership of the images or videos they post, an art thief can just get away with things like this remaining undetected for a long time, especially if the original artist isn't aware their work is being stolen. Another major problem is how Facebook handles reports. Even when the real artist or a concerned fan reports the page, Facebook's moderation system is largely automated and very slow to act. Most times they don't even bother to remove content unless there's a clear copyright notice or a legal takedown request. Art thieves can just block the original artist or use multiple fake accounts, making it harder for the real creator to even see that they're stealing their art. This person has literally been posting videos from both artists for months now, and nothing has been done about them or their account, and the page is still up and pretty active, even after it has been reported multiple times by different people who have come across the page. Some people also started leaving reviews on the page to warn others about them and just generally try to raise more awareness so people know it's a fake page. And also because that just seems to be the only reasonable way to warn people about them, since reporting the page directly on Facebook clearly isn't doing anything. But what even ruffles my feathers a lot more than this person just stealing art is, out of all the artists on the internet, why did they specifically target these two artists? What was the reason behind stealing their art in particular? These questions have kept me awake at night, pondering and pondering over what the answer could be, and the only logical answer I could think of is views. This style of art tutorials easily attract a lot of attention and gain millions of views on the internet because of how different they are from the standard way of making tutorials. While some of these videos are pretty funny and entertaining, they're also filled with value and people actually end up learning something while casually being entertained, which is why people seem to be naturally drawn to watching them despite them being considered as controversial. And while we're on the topic of snakes ramming the back of a cave, let's briefly talk about the sponsor of today's video, LELO. Whether you're sharing special downtime deep within the cave of your special person, or you're quietly drawing the milk from your churro, LELO has the perfect collection of pleasure products to help you reduce stress, improve your sleep, and boost your mood throughout the day. And right now you can enjoy 10% off with my stackable discount code Mohammed10, which is on display on the screen, if you choose to purchase any one of LELO's premium toys, which are all designed for every single body type and anatomy and are exclusively shipped right to your doorstep as discreetly as possible to ensure your privacy. Each one of LELO's toys offer various modes of stimulation with a variety of intensities and pleasure settings to fine-tune till you find the perfect sensation for your body. And not to mention, the products aren't just good, they're beautiful. For example, the Enigma Double Sonic is a triple stimulating work of art. Aesthetically pleasing and high-tech, the Enigma Double Sonic is also one of LELO's many Bluetooth-enabled devices that you can connect to the LELO app to unlock other exclusive features like Love Bridge for long-distance fun. Every one of LELO's products are made from ultra-smooth premium silicone and are all 100% waterproof, so you and your significant other don't have to worry about your toys getting rather wet. Click the link in the description to find something for yourself, and don't forget to use my stackable discount code to save 10% off your next purchase. All the links will be in the description, and a big thank you to LELO for sponsoring this video. At some point during the height of her virality, there was a whole debate in the art community on TikTok where people were accusing buboosenchan of making Guna art and being a Guna because of her art tutorials, to which she gracefully responded by making a video on TikTok addressing all the Guna accusations and clearing the air for her audience.
Hi, I'm buboosenchan and I'm the creator of art tutorials like this one or this one. And lately a lot of people has been asking me and tagging me on videos saying that I'm a gunner or asking if I am a gunner. So there was a problem at the beginning, and it was that, as you can hear, English is not my first language, so I didn't know what a gunner meant. So I gave myself the task to look it up in Google, and it says that being a gunner meant somebody who is addicted to corn. And at the beginning I was pretty afraid because I'm like, did these people hack my computer and went to my search history and saw something? But then I realized that maybe they didn't. So I'm like, okay, let me just go to the internet and finally answer your question. Is buboosenchan a gunner? No, buboosenchan is not a gunner. Buboosenchan is buboosenchan. I hope that answered your question, and see you later.
For the most part, it would seem the art community has a problem with drawing characters with curves, whether male or female, or making art that unironically emphasizes on the spicy emoji a little more than usual. A large number of artists have seen comments under their videos accusing them of making Guna art even when they're just drawing regular anatomy for their characters and are not even exaggerating any of the features or body parts of the characters in the slightest bit. Guna or NSFW art has been around since the humble days of deviant art and is now termed as Guna art by the TikTok generation. This niche adult themed genre of art is mostly associated with the infamous Rule 34 culture on the internet, which is mostly centered around drawing and or creating R-rated images of popular characters, engaging in a little back and forth stimulation on the internet. According to the unofficial rule of Rule 34, which states, and I quote,
"If it exists, there is corn of it, no exceptions."
This rule has slowly come to represent the wildly wild creativity of the internet, suggesting to innocent fans of any popular franchise that no matter how obscure or random a character, object or concept might be, someone has turned it into adult content somewhere on the internet. And while some people have grown to accept this so-called Guna art as just part of internet culture, most people have a problem when some artists start making Rule 34 drawings of characters who are canonically below the fine age of legally owning a driver's license. This of course gets people extremely riled up because everyone automatically agrees that this is not normal behavior at all and shouldn't even be accepted as normal behavior under any circumstance. The art community on TikTok still has a weird trend of calling art tutorials with slight innuendos in them as Guna art or Guna art style, even when for the most part these tutorials might just be teaching anatomy or drawing poses. And because buboosenchan makes similar tutorials with innuendos and a slightly older demographic as the target audience, people just automatically label her as that. Using innuendos like these are the only way buboosenchan can make her tutorials without getting flagged by the algorithm, and also for her to effectively teach other artists who make comics and webtoons within the above mentioned topic. But aside from innuendos and anatomy tutorials, Bubu also has multiple assets and brushes for artists trying to speed up their drawing process, and even has a helpful 3D eye asset that helps you map the eye from any angle in your drawing. And this will particularly be helpful if you are drawing a scene with many faces and you needed to save time drawing the eyes. I'll leave a link in the description for anyone who wants to check it out for themselves.
I see a lot of people complaining about their penny potatoes, but I don't see artists drawing them. And I think that's unfair because that means there is a lack of representation. So let's start by drawing our sweet potato. And remember, sweet potatoes have a different shape than normal potatoes, mostly because sweet potatoes are quite longer compared to normal ones. So now let's jump to the vein. When drawing veiny things, I like to use lining pictures for my reference. I know many people will think that using vein pictures for references it's easier, but for me that's not the case. So that's why I prefer way more to use lining pictures for my reference. You draw draw the vein guidelines for your sweet potato, let's jump to the line art. For the vein line art, I like to use a very shaky line art compared to the sweet potato line art. I also try to draw the vein line art way thinner than the line art I draw for the main potato. After finishing the line art of the veins, I like to highlight the veins using a darker color in Multiply. Just a tiny little bit, just to give the impression of depth. Remember to also add the line art of the veins outside to give the impression of thickness. And for a bigger shot, add some lining, which will help your veins to look thicker and juicier. And that's it.
Thanks, I needed this. I draw veiny potatoes all the time because I like drawing sword fights with veiny potatoes instead of swords. Wise words, my friend. No wiser words have been said by anyone on the internet today. I thought, you thought, we all thought. Now, reading the comments under every single one of buboosenchan videos is always very entertaining. On one hand, some people are naturally just confused, asking why they're learning about drawing potatoes, and on the other hand, we have people who are drooling and just can't wait for more, like myself. But using a picture of lightning as reference for drawing veins is a really neat trick you can use for when you're drawing muscles and whatnot. Another artist I enjoy watching who also makes funny tutorials like this is itsajart. I remember watching AJ when he was making art tutorials on YouTube during the lockdown, and seeing just how much he has grown, especially on TikTok, is really inspiring and should be used as motivation for anyone who's trying to build their art account or just build up their presence on social media. AJ's tutorials are for the most part genuine tips about concepts in drawing, but unlike regular artists who teach this stuff, AJ has a rather contemporary way of approaching the subject matter. Take this tutorial about drawing shadows for instance.
You gotta treat drop shadows differently from regular shadows, because while they're similar, they're actually very different. For example, we take this box right here and we would draw a shadow like this. This would be a cast shadow from the actual box, because it's on the ground and because the light source is coming from one direction. And the dark red of the box is the actual form shadow, creating the actual shape of the box. But what if we want to create a drop shadow? Well, basically what we would do is once we have our box or our object in general all figured out, you still want to get an idea of where the actual shadow is coming from and then create a shadow. But this time the shadow is going to be separated from the actual drawing. For example, I'm going to drop a line like this, and I'm pretty much going to make a slight outline of our box, but you can see it's not completely connected. And then once I lower the opacity and even blur it, you can see it gives the illusion of the box floating. The box is now creating what we call a drop shadow or a cast shadow, because it's casting a shadow over.
Must have been the wind. What happened to hello? How are you? Can I take you to dinner first? I'm done blaming the wind. I saw that. But then someone genuinely wanted to know what was happening and why these kind of tutorials were just growing really popular. So they left a comment asking if this was the only way you can teach people art these days. And AJ replied explaining that people's attention span was severely cooked because of all the fast-paced 50-second content everyone is watching on the internet. Which is why some artists resort to creative ways to make their art tutorials more entertaining and also beat the algorithm after they've posted them. Another one of his really popular drawing tutorials is one where he drew a girl holding her pet cat and making a funny face.
Sometimes it's better to just draw through your artwork, because if you don't know what you're doing, it can be hard to just pretty much add the features that you need in order to make the entire piece come together. So that's why I always suggest sketching through your art and making sure that everything is aligned, where it needs to be. And then you can just erase all the other stuff you don't need in order to make it come together. And then going in and adding in all your details and everything else to make the whole picture come to life. And then once you add your finalized detail and everything like that, you pretty much have your entire little drawing that you can just go ahead and look at. Let's go ahead and color in her pet cat, just so we can stand out some more, add some highlights of the eyes. And yeah, that's pretty much my basic tip. Make sure that when you're drawing, don't be afraid to draw through your picture, and don't be afraid to use guidelines. Because as you saw, all you have to do is break this shape down into one simple thing, and then start adding in the little sticks to actually bring everything together. And once you get rid of this, it looks something like that, like a weird insect or some kind of roach. But like I said, using this as a guide to actually add the details makes the entire piece come together. But anyway, that's my tips on how you can, improve your drawing and make it faster.
This video gained a whopping 2 million views with over 4,000 comments filled with people calling it Guna art style, saying they knew what kind of man he is and trying to address the elephant in the room. Someone also said it was genuinely good advice since apparently they found it pretty useful compared to half of the other people in the comments. I think the art community needs to collectively come together and agree that there literally is nothing wrong with the so-called Guna art style or whatever it is they want to label NSFW drawings as, and as long as the drawings are not depicting kids or underage characters engaged in weird and inappropriate or weirdly inappropriate activities, then I guess it should be okay for the most part. But I know this is usually a pretty controversial topic in the art community, and it always gets people on the edge of their seats depending on what side of the fence they're sitting on. But to be fair, I think everyone should be allowed to draw what they enjoy as long as it stays within the boundaries of safe content. Well, it looks like you made it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, share this video with a friend who draws in the Guna art style, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here. With all that being said, I'll see all you pretty penguins in the next video. Bye.